welcome to the Sween. I'm Phil. I'm Phil in this your host, and today for our Drawcast, in terms of people I know who are equally as weird and cryptid as I am, I bring to you a wonderful friend of mine, a former roommate, and also, my sugar mama. Hopefully, my eventual sugar mama.
Sugar sister, I presume, was the title.
I think, you know what, that was the title we settled on, because
was I not your husband when we were roommates?
Yes, and even then it was weird. This is the Looney Mooney, Looney Mooney? My Mooney.
Yes, hello.
What kind of cryptid are you? Please.
I'm so glad that you consider me a fellow cryptid.
Well, only cryptids are allowed on this esteemed podcast, Drawcast.
Of course.
Thing that we are doing.
Well, I do practice a small amount of spellcraft, but it's mostly just like walking through the woods and shit, so I suppose you could call me a weather person. A weather cryptid, if you will.
So, would you say that you're made of clouds?
A little bit, I suppose. There is a certain cloudiness about me.
Are you a fluffy, knowing you're a bit of a space cadet, so would you say you are a fluffy space princess?
I mean,
would
if you wanted to.
Would you say...
I am a loony Mooney. I am very loony, and I am also a Mooney. So.
Would you say you're animani, totally insane-y?
Cryp, what's the next line?
It doesn't matter, they changed it every episode. They would change it every episode, it doesn't matter.
My favorite has always been Picky and Brainy. Because those, gay mice, hell yeah.
I can't believe... I still need to see the new Animaniacs.
I've only seen like 1.5 episodes.
I haven't that's more than me. That's genuinely more than me.
See, I watch cartoons with my little sister from time to time, and she has much less patience for binge watching than I do, so... Yeah. So my cartoon watching days have slowed down to a trickle because it's much more fun to watch things with others than it is to watch things with yourself, like a gremlin all alone with no one else to communicate with.
See, I have a case of nobody wants to watch anything that I want to watch. So I'm just all alone, here by myself, just sitting around watching TV. It's just me and the dogs.
Oh, you have dogs, though.
Yeah, but, even I know my dogs aren't into my shows. I know my dogs are sitting there judging me. They're thinking, God, what is this gay shit? They're thinking, man, if you were this interested in getting blue-balled by slow burn, why didn't you just stick with Supernatural? And to which I would like to say, because I have taste.
I am so glad you have taste. I don't even watch Supernatural myself. I watched a few episodes because, speaking of people judging you for the content that you consume, my dad's friends worked on a few of the episodes.
Ah!
So I watched a few episodes of mostly just, kind of good artsy ones that my dad's friends worked on.
They would, if they were good, they had to have been the early seasons.
Yeah, it was the early seasons. There was this one black and white monster movie one that was really...
Oh, yeah, that one was actually... That one actually was one of the better episodes. The funny thing about Supernatural, and every friend I had who was actually into Supernatural, beyond, the Castiel, fucking queer-baiting shit.
You know, I once tried to explain to my mom about the Castiel queer-baiting shit, and, like, she like, I didn't realize until about halfway through the conversation that she thought that I was talking about Sam when I said Cass, because she said, Maeve, they're brothers, and I stared her dead in the eye, and I'm like, not Sam, Cass, the angel, and she was like, the what?
I like that Castiel exists only because the only ship that the show had was incest.
And that was gross, and no one wanted to watch it because of that.
I mean,
like,
it wasn't that...
You can watch a show because, you know, fun monsters and shenanigans and all that, but, like, also, if you're gonna have a fandom this big, there's gotta be at least one viable ship for the fan base to play to.
Listen, I'm gonna say this, and I know that in saying this, it is gonna say a lot, but if the incest was really that much of a turn-off, would there have been so much weird-ass fetish porn that came out of Supernatural?
On my end of the stream, you kind of, like, glitched out for a moment there, so I just heard, the very tail end of that sentence.
If incest was really that... I hate that I say that, but it's also because, okay, so, we are of the old generation of Tumblr.
Yes, the Zillennials.
We are the ones who literally can look at people and go, I remember when lemons was the term that we used.
Lemon? That was such a good system. Why did we get rid of that system?
Because
get rid of words like squick and don't read and like it's just such good useful terminology that everyone just kind of forgot.
It's simple. Everybody just ignores how the AO3 tagging system actually is supposed to work.
See, AO3 is one of those places where, like, that's not as big a problem, though, because, like, it has such a good tagging system.
Well, also, the problem was, so let's be real, fanfiction.net is a fascinating website.
Oh, it is. It is such a clusterfuck.
It is so fascinating, because, one, it clearly has not been updated, like, since
at
least 2012. At least!
Yeah.
Or at the most.
Well, last time I saw fanfiction.net, it had some new thing with, like, appy looking updates, like, just for how it looked. And it didn't change much other than the fact that there is an omnipresent advertisement at the top of your screen that stays there even as you scroll down, which is difficult for me because I save my place by scrolling down and reading the next line, like hiding what I've already read, you know?
Right.
So that's very inconvenient for me to have a random advertisement at the top of the screen where I'm trying to read.
Yeah, no, like, I remember that. I also just, the things that are interesting and fascinating to, at least for me when it comes to fanfiction.net, is also how it organizes fandoms, and how genuinely, like, it is a fascinating thing that fanfiction.net goes out of its way to actually prevent you from seeing who is goes out of your way from like posting links and shit. And it's like one of those things where I didn't think much of it when I originally was writing fanfiction, back when I was a kid, but then you start using AO3 and you're like, God, it is so annoying that I have to like do a bunch of shit if I want to even like in a fic reference the word Tumblr.
God.
Because that's how broken the fucking system is.
It's so broken.
It's so broken. And one of the other things that I kind of think about all the time is the fact that, like, you know, there are some things about fanfiction.net I miss.
Mm.
And it's not the parts that anyone thinks about. And it has everything to do, weirdly, with the fact that I kind of hate that on AO Free, people just tag literally every fucking thing in a fic. Like,
see, I don't actually mind that. I kind of like how zany the tags can get.
Here's the thing. I am a minimalist when it comes to tags. I am of the opinion that I would like to read a fic without literally, like, accidentally seeing the tag and knowing, because I have read the tag, what the end of this fic is gonna be now. I don't like the fact that, like, AO free tags also tend to just, like, I do not trust a fic that immediately says, "Lol, first fanfic, I don't know how I'm writing, lol." Like, okay.
See, again, I love amateur artwork, though.
Here's the
like something like fanfiction. I love, like, the first things that youngins create.
Here's the thing.
Old art and encourage and, like, you know, thinking about how far I've grown.
Here's the thing. It's ultimately the major difference between you and me, and we've had this conversation before, but I'm gonna bring it up again. Okay. Unlike you, I am a crusty old man with no interest in believing in the goodwill of humans.
You are a genuine Scrooge.
I'm one of those people who, like, I won't say it unless it is specifically asked of me, but it's kind of like, well, how when you asked for critique on your school projects, I would always say, "Are you sure?"
And I said yes.
And then I would say, "Are you sure?"
And I would say yes.
And you didn't know why. And then you learned why. And it is because I have legitimately no mercy. I'm just like, this...
It's kind of useful, though. Like, it's good to have someone with no mercy in your ballpark, like, telling you everything that needs to be fixed. That's useful critiques to have. You are very honest.
I cannot help being extremely honest about shit, and it's mostly because also I think a lot of it comes down to, so I think we should talk about the fact that you're a motion media major, unlike everyone else I've brought in who's been or who's done animation. Every one of them has been, or who has worked with animation in some capacity, all of them have been, just general animation. None of them have worked in motion media, and that's, like, a different field that most people don't realize is a different field. And...
Not because the work...
Yeah.
The difference between animation and motion media is that animation is very highly capitalized. Like, capitalism has gotten its grimy little claws all over the animation industry and has divided up the work.
Project. This is what you're doing for this group thing, and, like, figure out where your focus is going to be. Yeah.
They're massive, though, right?
Yeah, but, like, also, like, again, that's why I think it's, like, the differences between you doing small, independent, little freelance, where it is like, where it is supposed to be a smaller team versus, you know, what we have, which is, if you don't have a team of 10 people, how are you expected to get 4 minutes of animation done over the course of a year?
Simple, you cut it down from 4 minutes to 1 minute.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Why doesn't it work? Like,
imagine okay.
A better story, not a longer story.
No, I mean, like, imagine my okay, you saw my student film.
Oh yeah, Cambrian Explosion, that was really good.
Yeah, the student film I was producer on. Like, imagine that film being told in only 4 minutes. Or not a minute, or not for, in only a minute. Would that have worked?
It had done it right, but I think that it works very well on its own, like, as it is. I forget how long it was exactly.
It is a 4-minute student film. Our film was 4 minutes. That, like, and that's what I mean when I say, like, you being all, it's all the kid. I'm like, honey, I love you. But I think it's the difference between you focus on things in little length. I focus on, like, one of us is eating a very long hoagie. The other one is eating, we are both in an eating contest. One of us is eating an insanely long hoagie. The other is just eating piles and piles of Twinkies. Now, both will hurt us. Both will make us wish we had died along the way. Both are ultimately a construction of the capitalist regime. Both are nothing more than the worst things that man has created. But they're basically the same contest.
I mean, yeah.
And
they're basically the same contest in slightly different ways. And yeah.
Yeah, and that
I have gotten a job recently though, which ironically enough is not going to use any of my video skills.
Well, I please tell us about your job, because my reaction to you getting that job was, oh my god, that's amazing. Oh my god, Mooney, I'm so proud of you. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. How dare you? How dare you?
Well, I'm not. So I am going to be a graphic designer for the University of California Davis Medical Center. It is a remote position, and thus I haven't actually started the job yet, because first I need to get a check in order to buy the equipment from them. Like, they send me a check, and then I buy from them all the equipment I need to do my job, according to them, at least. And then I start my training, and then I can do my job.
Are you at least getting paid during your training?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting paid, like, a slightly lower rate during training, so.
And tell them your annoyingly high rate that made me die inside upon reading.
So, I am going to get $45 an hour, working about 20 to 40 hours a week.
Did you hear me? Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
I heard it.
Like that, not even the... I'm talking about the sound before that. That was the sound...
Okay.
That was the sound of me thinking of my student debt.
I don't be with that, though.
Listen... You better tip me like a furry. That's... I
am gonna tip you like the furry I am, Val. Like, that is going to be my prerogative.
God, I just... You know what I make working a 40-hour shift? Under 300, okay? Okay, because fucking the tax system, and, like, I don't mind taxes, but it's also like, damn it, I'm not even getting benefits at this job. Ew.
Minimum wage or something?
It's not minimum wage. It's 10 an hour.
That should be minimum wage, though. That's so low.
Honey, it's Texas.
Everything's
bigger. Everything's bigger here, including the disparity between the rich and our poor.
If everything's bigger in Texas, then shouldn't your paycheck be bigger?
Like that would fly under the capitalist regime.
The capitalist regime needs to be toppled.
I want you to know that I've decided that for art-wise, okay, I'm tired of doing my tarot deck, so I'm just like, I haven't gotten to have fun doing my favorite thing, which is pinups based off of classic models from the 70s.
Yeah, I saw, like, a work in progress of something like that.
Oh, that wasn't even a work in progress. That was I'm just gonna put hand to paper and see what happens, which, I don't even...
into wonderful muscle definition.
Yeah, I like seeing where the paper will take, where mind will go, where shit be, and how anything will go and look, all while drawing what I wish I could look like.
That's very valid, though. I look like how I wish I looked like, but I also find it very, very hard to draw myself. Like, I have the body of a Barbie doll, okay? It's very hard.
Excuse me. Barbie wishes she had your ass.
Thank you for that.
It's okay. I saw you degrading yourself, and as an ally, I just had to go, nah, fuck that bitch. You're better. Barbie wishes that they were someone so cool and spectacular that we met, because I genuinely think that the thing that kept us talking when we first met, because we met outside of the cafeteria, but not because we were talking to each other. We were talking to... I was talking to the lunch lady, and then you started talking to the lunch lady.
And then we started talking to each other via the lunch lady.
Which was really funny, because, we didn't stop talking to her. She didn't leave the conversation. This needs to be prefaced. To that wonderful... Okay, to anyone who is at SCAD, the lunch lady Dorothy, she's amazing. I love her. She's great.
She's so good.
Also,
she's just a wonderful pure being.
Also, Linda, chef's kiss. Frankly, I've consistently found that I just love the cafeteria staff at SCAD. They're just really nice. Great people to talk to.
Nice.
They don't mind that I legit just will talk, and frankly, they absolutely loved my seeing the chaos that I brought, which was great, because very few people seem to appreciate all of the effort that I put in to everything.
You are just so much fun, though. Every time you walk into a room, there is so much chaos. It is addictive. With giant stuffed animals and, that high-class British, aesthetic that you've got going on, where everything's super fancy. You have, your fucking teacup holster, and...
I try. the ultimate goal is to wake up and, like, have people be convinced that I am a Victorian lord from the 1600s that just so happened to just wander in one day.
Yeah.
Or the 1800s.
Kind of give off.
Yeah, I want that. I want to be, like, the goal is to not be the Victorian pop boy who wakes up and goes, "Oh God, I'm going to put on my drawers, and then I'm going to go feed the master." No, the ideal thing is to not be, I don't want to be that. I want to be the Victorian lord that wakes up, rolls on his pillow, groans, and yet somehow their hair looks nice, but also is like, "Honey, where's the champagne?
I'm imagining it with, like, your hair in a low ponytail and one of those big-ass, like old English ribbons, looking like a founding father."
Honsley. I think the annoying thing is I know my hair, and unfortunately my hair is just, like, the worst.
Your hair's kind of great, though. It's got so much bounce to it.
Okay, it's great, but also it's the worst. You've seen it. It literally has to be... If it is not tamed every day, it kills things.
Oh, this is true.
And...
Like, artifacts will be lost in that hair.
Artifacts have been lost in this hair. Okay, like, I am damn certain that I have lost merch in this hair, okay? There are things that will never be found because they touched my head.
It's lion's mane, only, like, curlier somehow.
Listen, Lion's Mane has the benefit of animators and a plot device called Steven who can pull shit out. I just have a void.
It's a void, though.
Again, though, 45 an hour, like... How much is that a week? That makes me feel... That drives me insane, just imagining.
I did the math down somewhere, but, like, I am currently recording this from inside of my bathroom because there are sleeping family members in every other room in the house.
You're the amount of ghetto in your setup is incredibly amusing to me.
Like, I'm going to have one of the highest salaries in my household, now that I think about it, but, like, so I'm gonna start paying rent, obviously, but I am basically just renting out, like, half of a bedroom that is also my office space. And, like, not even half a bedroom, like, a third of a bedroom. My little sister has claimed at least 2/3 of the bedroom. Her bed continues to drift sideways. I continue to lose more ground.
You have to keep fighting. You can't let them win. What would the Communist Manifesto say?
The Communist Manifesto would say our bedroom.
What would Perry Schmertz do?
Perry Schmertz would build an innator and then immediately defeat that innator. Because that's just how, and then give each other therapy, because that's just how that dynamic rolls.
Okay, but what would William Wallace do?
Who is William Wallace? I forget who William Wallace is.
Shame.
Who is William Wallace? I'm Googling this. I don't know if this is going to interrupt the stream or anything, but I'm going to Google this. Okay, you seem to still be on the line. No, I can't do that in this tag. This is the tab where I look up DuckTales episode orders so that I can successfully pirate them. Cheetah. Okay, that's the tag that I will replace with William Wallace, was it? William Wallace. Sir William Wallace was a Scottish knight who became one of the main leaders during the First War of Scottish Independence. This tells me nothing. This tells me nothing.
I said, I asked you, what would William Wallace do?
I don't know. Fight something, I guess? He is a knight.
Obviously, you haven't done your proper historical research.
I haven't, you know. I spent our entire last semester together as roommates, taking not one, but 2 whole-ass architecture history courses. I have had enough history for a very long time. I deserve a break from learning about humanity and such. And even though I am culturally part Scottish, I also am tired.
I mean, that's fair, valid. I give you the excuse. Oh yes, that's a nice list. That's a nice lip. Ah, yes. I have no idea how this is gonna turn out, but I'm liking it. Ah.
I can't see what you're doing, but I take you at your word. Your art usually is very good.
Sorry.
So you
just
made a static noise.
I'm sorry, it's an acid reflex. I'm allergic to praise. It makes me gassy. Or something. I don't know. It invokes a reaction that I can only describe as, I'm not quite at that stage where I'm going to sit and perch over your bed, looming over you menacingly, but I'm considering it.
You know, my dad recently developed an allergy.
Oh?
To milk proteins, of all things.
I mean, that's not too uncommon.
Well, yeah, but it sucks because he was a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah, so that's one less protein. See, this is just the world saying you should eat cows.
Well, he started eating fish now because he's like, I can't survive as a vegan.
I mean, it was a joke. I mean, I was also making a joke, but yeah, no, honestly, vegan diets they're very much consistently not healthy.
Yeah. And, now I'm more, but we don't know how severe the allergy is, so now I'm concerned that we might have to live in a dairy-free household. And I'm not prepared for that kind of lifestyle,
You're not prepared for that level of commitment.
I am not prepared for a dairy-free diet. I want my cheese and my whole milk and my cream.
Well, we can't have everything, can we now? What would the
I am considering buying a mini fridge and setting up a mini kitchen in my 1/3 of bedroom, so that I can continue to have dairy products if it gets that severe. I'm not sure how successful that would be, but
I have no idea what I am planning for these clothings. I'm having that time where I'm doing a lot of line work for no reason other than I'm too lazy to color this bitch.
See, I'm the opposite way. Sometimes I'll just color shit in the middle of working on it because I'm too lazy to line art it.
Okay.
And, coloring is easier than line arting, okay?
Okay, so here's the thing that I don't actually get the difference between a sketch piece and a line art piece. I do not understand this. People are...
You've seen my sketches, Phil. You know that there is a difference when it comes to me.
Well, no, I meant in terms of, like, you know how in commission boards people will have, like, sketch art, line art, and I'll just look and I go, there's a difference? Like, no, because, like, think about it from the perspective of... Think about it from our perspective, because it's like, there really isn't anything that goes on there that you aren't...
A legible sketch and a line art is kind of minimal at best.
Like, like, a legible sketch is just the line art. Is just the line art, but you just didn't... And the only thing I can think is it called line art because you didn't close anything? In which case, I would like to say I never closed anything. Okay?
Mood.
Like... I don't care enough to close the lines. I mean, I get that artists out there do that, to which I would like to say, kudos. You have the skill. Congratulations. You do something I'm too lazy to do.
Then you can use the bucket tool. Bucket tool, though.
I mean...
That's kind of the only reason to close the lines.
I mean, sure, but you can also just, like, do a faint trace. You can also just do a line trace over, like a quick line for the color you need, and then just, you know, make sure there are closed gaps, and then put in a fucking bucket. Just
that's what I've been doing lately.
That's what I've been doing for so long, and it confuses me when people are like, well, I would do the bucket, but it's like there's some complication because I don't do completely closed lines, and I'm be like, what do you mean?
Just fake it.
Just fake it. You don't need to spend your time on that. Why are you wasting your time? Just go for it. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Nike.
Like, I don't know. I see shit and I'm just like, I don't understand you. I don't understand you people. I just don't understand you. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's also because I just consistently don't understand people who also work an absurd number of layers and shit, and those people for some reason tend to be, like, in a similar group.
I work in, like... I mean... My layer numbers have been decreasing lately because I've been gaining more confidence with merging layers. As of late.
I just don't see the point in having more than... I literally do not see the point in having more than, like... I think the largest I'll get is maybe 20, and usually if it's a case that it's that large, it's because it's one of those things where, one, I'm gonna merge it later, but two, it's because I know that I'm going to use these elements separately in something else. And, like, in that... Yeah.
My workflow's kind of a clusterfuck, in that, like, I'll make 3 layers of sketch just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm actually trying to draw. And then, like, and then I get into the coloring phase. And then it's just all spirals downhill, because I'll forget that I'm on a certain layer. But at that point, I've already done so much detail work that I just have to work around it. So, like, it just turns... It looks pretty. It always looks pretty. But that's just because I'm a good artist. I don't actually know what I'm doing sometimes.
Listen, we all know the truth. We all know the truth. None of us know what we're doing. That's why we went to art school.
Yeah. And, like, I graduated top of my class from that. But I still kind of have no idea what I'm doing.
I forget how much more talented you were than me, and it makes me die inside.
I mean, I don't think it's so much talent as it is that I'm nerd. I am nerd, and I enjoy to learn.
I mean, I enjoy learning too. I just also know that I'm not good at shit.
I mean, also I have drugs that help me stay on top of my shit, so.
I don't need the drugs. I'm just a mess.
Valid.
So, in terms of...
ADHD, baby. Medicate that. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you learn to live without it. I don't know. Different people live different lives. My meds are wearing off.
Oh, no.
Because it is late at night.
Are you gonna be lucid?
No?
Are you gonna be lucid enough to keep going? Cause I've seen you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, it's cause I remember that time where we were, when we went to the cat cafe right at the start of the whole COVID mess, cause we were like, fuck this shit. We're having our last hurrah fun of spring break because everything was going up in flames. And, like, I remember, like, we were afraid you would get mugged in an alley. Because you were just like...
I was really, really loopy that night.
Yeah.
It was a combination of meds are off, adrenaline is crashing, and brain cells refuse.
Also, COVID is now a thing.
Yeah. I mean, COVID has been a thing for a while now, but, like, at the time, it seemed relatively new to us college folks who had been so absorbed in studies that we couldn't focus on anything else in the world.
Well, also, it wasn't just that it was, like, it was new. It was, like, for me at least, it was more like, it was more the fact that it ruined everything that we had going. Like, I did not want to move out of that dorm.
Yeah.
I did not.
Neither did I.
Like, I loved living with you guys.
I loved living with you guys too.
Like living with you and Water Woman and you know, Rubik's, that was one of the funnest and best times I've ever had. Being able to just sit there and have people we could equally just go up to and be like, so, theories as to why Voltron sucks ass.
I still haven't watched the last season, nor do I want to.
I mean, good. That's the way you should experience Voltron. Never having finished it, much like Supernatural. Like, okay.
There's still part of me that's like, they should have made Shiro marry Paran.
There
made it far less cowardly.
Like, here's the other thing I think about when it comes to Voltron, is that it is so fascinating how much you can tell nobody wanted to be working on it.
Yeah. Like, which is dumb, because, like, if you get that big a property, then you should, you know, let yourself go fucking wild on it, you know?
Here's the thing. It's not that I don't think that at the start that they were totally into working on it. It's not that I don't think at the start. What I think it was is, because I've read and I've seen a few videos on the subject, and they're all like, and a lot of them propose that, like, it becomes obvious that their ideas and plans kept conflicting and shit, so they kept writing around what they originally had to do and stuff. Like, there's a whole thing where, like, apparently, like, Shiro at times basically was giving Keef's scenes, and you can see this because for whatever reason Shiro is standing like how Keef would, which is an interesting thing. And also, like, that they got the teleporting wolf, and, like, there's vague evidence that teleporting wolf, it was supposed to be that Shiro got teleportation powers. And, like, that would all make this all make sense. Like, there's so much about this where I'm like, this...
Okay, see, I would posit that She-Ra is the superior Voltron. Because She-Ra also has a magical, like, a magical space pet. But this one's actually, like, fun. It's a magic hat, which was a thing in the original property, and it also helps Catra's character develop now that she is no longer evil, and it's great, actually.
I mean...
And it actually is used as an avenue with which to, like, actually explore further character dynamics.
It is so weirdly...
Make people more interesting.
It is so weirdly fascinating how Voltron chooses to treat its characters and its that it has, because, like, one, the series is weirdly mean to its most popular characters, and by that I mean Lance and Shiro are shit on by the show incredibly. Like, Lance is just... I feel bad for Lance as a character, because...
Lance deserves a lot more.
Well, because one... So, here's the thing. Much like how... much like how I have borne witness to rising and falling of nations like Supernatural, I have borne witness to rise and fall of Voltron. And one of the things that my friends and I who were watching it would consistently say as it kept going is that it was really unnecessarily cruel how much the show was interested in treating Lance like an idiot.
An idiot, though. I mean, like, he's a bit of a himbo,
But, like, more importantly, that the show had specifically dumbed down Lance's intelligence whenever they needed convenient conflict.
Yeah, it was like they tried to make him both the Ron-stoppable and the, like, Sokka of the show, which the reason why Sokka works is because he's not an idiot. He just, like, sometimes he has no brain cells, but he's not an idiot. He's a strategical genius.
Well, also, let's be real, Lance is also never actually given a purpose in the show. Like, he's never given a reason or want to really fight outside of generic good. And so, this is the fascinating thing of why, like, if you look at whole thing of why Lance is popular, it's because Lance is so much of an open blank slate that you can basically fit whatever you want in there. It's the Hetalia problem. Or, essentially...
I only ever watched, like, a few episodes of Hetalia.
Okay, so the thing about Hetalia, and this is the whole part of why when people talk about Hetalia being a sin and plight against the earth, I kind of just roll my eyes and go, bitch, you don't understand, you weren't there.
It wasn't a plague upon the earth, it was just silly country memes.
Here's the thing. What Hetalia was, at the end of the day, what it really was good for, in terms of why it generated such a huge fandom, was that Hetalia was Hetalia was essentially built to be role-played. It was built to have fans play with it specifically. Like, you got your vague, like, Hetalia, though, the main reason Hetalia was popular was not because Hetalia was appealing to white supremacists or whatever, or because teenage girls are stupid.
Hetalia just kind of was blank.
I
didn't really actually, like, because I was a homestuck. I'm sorry. I was a homestuck.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you that makes you worse, but like, because ultimately the Hitalia fandom and Homestuck did kind of just end up merging into one horrific being.
Yeah, that was weird.
Nah, that made sense.
I mean, it made sense in like a weird way. Like it was a fascinating phenomenon to witness. Like, the weird thing is those fandoms merged specifically because of this one fucking comic, like humanizing the two fandoms, and like they turned into, and like in the comic they turned into Rails, which is the Homestuck romance mechanic where they're best friends now.
See,
and like then the whole fandom was like, and both fandoms were like, oh, that's so fucking adorable, and then they merged.
See,
They joined forces and they fused like some sort of unholy garnet.
See, here's the thing about that, is that doesn't surprise me in any capacity, though, because of how... Okay, I need to explain how fucking wild and rampant AUs, and AU sticking in the consciousness of Hitalia fans was. So, here's the thing. I didn't realize where the fuck this came from. I found out of this, of course, through a fucking fanfiction on fanfiction.net in the early to mid 2000s, 2010s, and...
I remember fandom stuff.
Well, no, I'm talking about Cardverse.
What?
Okay, so here's the thing about the Hitalia fandom. And this is what made the Hitalia fandom absolutely fascinating, is that AUs would stick. And it wasn't just that they'd stick, it was that they stuck, they had their own terms, and, like, people would write specific AUs and shit. Now, the thing about Cardverse is, apparently, there was just some fan art, or it was like an official card deck of Hitalia characters, with them in different fucking phases and shit, and this got people making like this weird ass AU where there's a kingdom of card, where everyone's a suit of cards, and like, you got a card thing and position and everything, and it was really weird. It was extremely weird. But the weirdest...
It reminds me of Homestuck mechanics. I'm sorry.
No. But the weirdest part is that, not only was this popular, it was popular specifically as Omegaverse AUs.
Like trying to find an heir to the throne type Omegaverse AUs?
Listen, do you know how many Omegaverse AUs for Hitalia I have read that were Cardverse?
Knowing your method of determining the quality of fandom fics, I am not surprised.
I can say, as someone who has stared down into the abyss and let it thrust its hips back at me, Hitalia fandom was so weird, especially because, like, depending on what AU, sometimes they just like, it meant that how the fics were summarized on fanfiction.net had very weird specifics. Like, I remember that if you had a pirate Pirate England, this is how pervasive it was. If you had England from Hitalia and he was a pirate, that was Pegland. But also, if it was Pirate England and Japan, that was Jegland. That was Jegpegland. That was Jegpegland. But then also the ship name for Japan and England was just Jegland.
Did I get pegged?
No, what is there to peg with? They've all got the equipment. No, this was just, but also, I cannot stress how much it was an absolute delight that the ship war was Fruck versus You Suck.
ship names?
Well, because it was France and England versus England and America.
Oh my god.
Because that was the ship. That.
What about America? Didn't France help America during the Revolutionary War?
Listen, there were those few people that were shipping it, but this was the primary one. The other main ship for America was America and Russia, and those were usually abusive as fuck. Like, I just remember that there was specifically one that I read where it was like an alternative universe where the Cold War did escalate, and it's so creepy because Russia takes America home to basically mindfuck, torture him into submission and make him Russian.
I cannot process that series of words. I'm sorry. I don't want to process the concept of that those words all create together.
Listen.
So I'm not even gonna try.
Listen, good. I cannot, again, I can't express how much the knowledge that I have gained. I have read the fic, I have touched the bottom of the barrel, I have licked it, I have seen, but, like, here's the thing, the weirdest fanfic to date is still this 1D Greyman fanfic. And it wasn't even because it was the worst thing that I read, it was because it had some of the most absurd ships that I had ever seen, and it made no sense in any capacity. Like, it's, you know, mental hospital AU, where it's like, oh, everything in canon was just your delusions, and you're crazy.
Okay, as someone who's neurodivergent, those I use always kind of suck, except for the Black Cat fandom's version, because that makes it sexy.
See, here's the thing. It occasionally can work if it is a case of, like, it isn't that you're treating the canon as if it couldn't happen, or it's more like if you treat it from the horror movie Hospital AU, which in some cases, like, I've found a few that make that work. But also, it has to be done with, like, it has to have class, you know?
Yeah.
But, so, having...
I like the kinds of fics that are, like, eventually they kind of just tear down the whole institution or something, like...
Okay.
It's like a slow... Like where it's from the perspective... What?
Like, here's the thing.
Are they humanized or something?
Yes, for some reason they are transformed into Shota boys, which is like...
Oh my god.
But, and like, ignoring the implications in that, but, entirely, there's something inherently weird about the whole, one, that you ship the umbrella and the golem, 'cause I'm like, who ships that? Who? Who is shipping Tim Campy and the umbrella?
See, I've never actually read or watched or consumed any D. Greyman media.
All you need to know is it's literally jokingly called by the fandom the Golden Snitch. needs a golden snitch and an umbrella.
I mean, I can see that.
Okay, but also these characters have never interacted.
I mean, they're inanimate, so like
they're inanimate, but also it's like one of those things where it's like, why is this a ship? But yeah, no, everyone was gay. Everyone was gay to an extent that it was like.
Need a side ship.
And the only villain was a straight guy. But the other thing is that, so there's one character in the cast. And, like, here's the thing. This character is kind of the villain of the Fix adopted son. And, like, the power of gay...
He's also gay, probably, right?
Well, yes, he's gay, but also apparently into his surrogate father, which is, like...
Gross.
That's wrong on so many levels. I don't know.
Very gross.
Like, this fic was just so surreal, because also, it was written in that honesty that you can tell belonged to a young fanfic writer. So, you know how, like, you can tell when, like, the fanfic writer is just young and inexperienced and, like, doesn't know what...
I went through my old fics recently, and, like, I actually had to change some of the tags because I realized that they were thankfully inaccurate. Like... I say thankfully because I looked at some of the tags on this shit and I was like, oh god, did my like 2015 self really write that shit? And then I read it and I'm like, oh thank god, it's just a vague implication of like a business partnership. Okay, I'm gonna remove that shit tag.
I love that that's you thinking like, I wrote scandalous!
I mean... I don't want to say what the ship tag was, but it was very wrong and very embarrassing. And I'm glad that it
I have literally made no attempts to hide from you all the stupid ass shit I have written.
Yeah.
And you know it's bad. You've seen my old work. I love figuring out coats. Boop, boop, boop. I'm wanting to make this look... You know... It's the most fascinating thing about watching the thing of Destiel in 2020 is that friends that hadn't spoken to me in over a year suddenly messaged me to be like, I can't believe this is how it ended.
Oh my god.
Because that's how we bonded originally, is that we would literally just bond over how Supernatural was shitting on the fan base.
Is it Phillies though?
What?
Is it Supernatural Lily's shitting on the fanbase? Except for Misha Collins.
I mean, here's the thing. Supernatural didn't start out shitting on the fanbase. Like, at least from the writing perspective, like, the thing is like, the people who wanted Supernatural to go back to being good were the people who understood that, like, Supernatural was its most fun when it really was just and now we're gonna go hunt and fight a ghost. And, you know, it was something that understood the genuine appeal of the monster of the week. And then it just evolved into, oh boy, another demon.
Oh boy.
I can't believe that the thing that does...
Fucking... Vampire Jalagos.
Vampire Juggalo!
Vampire Juggalos.
Vampire Juggalos! Vampire Juggalos! Vampire... Like, I want you to look me in the eye through this computer screen and tell me who in that fucking writing group's room said, you know what the fans of Supernatural have been craving for all this year? All these years, all this time? For Dean to die like a fucking bitch against a vampire juggalo. And from what I saw...
To answer you honestly, it was probably a Homestuck.
Listen.
I know you don't get context.
I don't care. I don't care. The only thing I'm just thinking about is the fact that also he dies because he gets, like, nailed in the fucking back, and it's just like...
He died from fucking tetanus.
He dies from tetanus, and it's just like... I can't...
Get vaccinated, boy.
Well...
Why weren't you vaccinated?
Well, it's one of those things where, at this point... Sam and Dean have survived through so much shit that the idea that tetanus is what done him in is not only embarrassing, it's kind of shameful. It's like, what the fuck, man? I thought, aren't you supposed to be like a ghost hunter? Also, I would think, given how much you guys, like, scrape your bodies against, like, dangerous-looking shit, that you would have just been getting...
Immune to this?
Yeah, you would get immune to this, but also that you would have been getting your regular tetanus shots for, like, fucking ever. Like,
right?
Like, that's the big thing that gets me, is, like, this is literally a, how did you let this happen to yourselves? Like, also that they didn't even let them meet up again in heaven.
I know, right? Like, also the car got into heaven somehow.
The car got into heaven. The car got into fucking heaven. The car ascends. How stupid.
See, it would make sense if the car was in heaven, if it was like a recreation of the car because that's Dean's heaven. But no, it's just the actual fucking car physically ascended into heaven.
Yeah, no, the Impala apparently is so... The Impala apparently has, like, the ability to just transcend the heavens.
Shit.
And I died inside, and I was just like, I can't believe...
But you actually watched it?
I didn't watch it. I kept seeing clips because Tumblr, and I kept seeing them and being like, I can't believe this is what they went with. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Because I'm just like, I'm sitting there and I'm imagining being in that writer's room, approving these decisions, and I'm just like, who wanted to die that badly? Like, here's the thing. Everyone's been making the jokes about worst endings, a worse ending than Game of Thrones, and I'm like, here's the thing. People who wanted to talk about everything that went wrong and do actual thought analysis on the nature and the fall of Game of Thrones and do those kind of hot takes. The only hot takes people are going to want to make about Supernatural is about how Supernatural really just did that all the way to the end.
I mean, yeah.
Like, and I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to only talk about that. Because it kind of just deserves it in every capacity. Because the show just, it fucking did that. It really did that. And it's so fascinating to me when media, especially media that manages to get popular, just nosedives that hard.
So, let's be real though. Supernatural only stayed for as long as it did because of the queer baiting.
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Everyone thought it was going somewhere,
And
then it didn't, and everyone acted surprised.
like, the big thing is, and this is why I jump shipped, is I realized that there was nothing to enjoy with watching Supernatural because I kept going for probably longer than I should have, but it was mostly because, like, I was at that point where, you're willing to settle for shit, where you're not willing to admit that you just aren't into the media you're watching. That phase of your life. And the big thing about Supernatural is I remember thinking that, like, the annoying part of it was that it consistently just didn't seem to have anywhere it actually wanted to go.
Yeah.
And that was the part that consistently got to me, is that Supernatural was a show that just didn't know where it wanted to go, because it was supposed to originally end on that 4th season.
When Dean got killed and sent to hell.
When they originally stopped the apocalypse and shit. Yeah, like, it was, well, and it wasn't Dean, it was Sam, but, like, it was original.
Wasn't it Dean, and then Cass had to drag his ass out of hell, and that's how Cass was introduced?
Actually, no, it was Sam. Because, Sam, it was Sam who gave his body and shit, and then, like, they got brought back, but it was, like, only his soul. But it was, like, without his soul, so he had, like, no moral compass, and it was a weird thing, and it was... The big thing about it is I enjoyed Cass at the start, and then literally it became obvious that Cass could just ruin anything that the writers wanted, so they literally put him in a corner. And that's about when I realized that this show had no interest in anybody's actual enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like, and it was also once the show started becoming so meta that it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, like, I've seen a lot of clips lately from, like, random episodes, and, like, apparently they had an entire episode where it was just fucking people reenacting fucking Supernatural fanfiction in play form.
Oh yeah, no, they did a musical episode because the fandom because you know how fandom will say that they want stuff, but it's like, if you ever actually got it, you would go, no, this is a horrible idea, why would you do this, no.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, because the Supernatural fandom had jokingly said it'd be great for there to be a Supernatural episode. I think they were only thinking about this because they were thinking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer's musical episode and shit like that.
Or, like, it was some sort of, like, curse.
Yeah, and, like, but also it was, you know, fun.
Yeah.
And well sung. And shit, and, like, it didn't also mock the fan base that would be interested in Supernatural.
Yeah. Like, just with the few clips that I saw alone, like, they acknowledged the goddamn shit.
Like,
And that's cursed in and of itself. Like
again, the rule of thumb in any media, never acknowledge your own ship name.
Yeah. Like, it only kind of worked in Steven Universe because there was, like, an actual mechanic attached to it. So, and Stevani was, like, an actual character. And even then, after that happened, the fandom was like, okay, new ship name, so that we can, like, you know, differentiate between the character and the ship.
Yeah, but, like, the big creepy thing about, like, how the showrunners treated everyone is, like, it was genuinely just how much they just insulted the fans and act like there was not anything that, like, that fans were being stupid for reading into shit. Like, and I remember thinking and seeing some of that and going, man, that is the most frustrating thing. Because
you encourage your fans to engage with your media.
Well, the thing is they encouraged them in the way that it was so weird. They would encourage them by queer baiting them, and then they would call them stupid for reading into shit in much the similar way that, you know, Stephen Moffat insulted his own fans.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Like, also, can I just say, the most crazy
yeah, go ahead.
The most absolute chaotic element of the whole Supernatural having this reveal, when it did, was that Sarah Zed had just put out her video on the John Locke conspiracy.
I have yet to watch that.
It's a great video. I highly recommend. Honestly, frankly, why are you watching us? Go watch Sarah Zed.
No, but I recently watched Enola Holmes, actually. And, like, that was really good. Like, John didn't show up once throughout the entire film. Which kind of, like, simplified things a lot. And it was Enola's story. It didn't really have much of anything to do with Sherlock other than as a plot device and as, you know, her brother. And it was mostly about her trying to find herself and trying to find her mother. And it was kind of awesome. Also, she had a really good, like, male love interest. And it was... Like, they're both 16, but, like, this boy is such a femme bastard. It just works. And the editing style of the whole film was very fun, too, because it was, like, it very much played into the photography development at the time, you know?
Right. And I'm a sucker for films just having fun with visuals and shit. The whole thing to me when it comes to doing stories where, one, you're either doing something based off an old property and it's like, and you're doing it in a way where you could include LGBTQ elements or just, you know, women character that people can like. Like, the fascinating and the important thing is, like, and the difference between a good team and a bad team is, does the team actually have any interest in respecting their audience? Because that's the main key. Like, if a film does not respect you, you will feel it, and you will know, and then you will realize, oh, this thing... It has no interest in actually treating me the way I want to be treated. It's like an abusive boyfriend. You throw it out the window.
Yes, it's kind of remarkable how easy it would be for these properties to be considered good in the public eye.
I know! Like how it could have been easy for the Untamed to be good, and instead it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm sorry, I will die bitter about that adaptation.
It took me a second to realize what you were talking about, then I was like, oh yeah, the Chinese live-action drama based on the gay-ass, beautiful anime, but except the live-action drama has shitty acting.
You know that it's based off a book, right?
No, I know it's based off a book. I still have to read the book.
But no, everybody who tells me that adaptation is good and that I'm just overreacting, I'm like, excuse me, I should not have people tell me that it feels like a plausible theory that the editing was designed to be gift sets for conversational gay shit on Tumblr. Okay? I should not be watching this drama and thinking about how the length of these episodes and the amount of repetitive scenes feels like it was meant to coincide with some kind of Chinese film labor law. So that they could get, like, grants and shit. Okay? I should not be thinking that, and here's the thing. I don't dislike Chinese dramas, okay? I am trash. Ashes of Love and Fantasy, not the, like, again, kind of a little clunky, but, like, I love it. It's trash. I'm for this. Like, shit like that, I'm okay with. I'm into dramas, okay? I wouldn't be into the shit that I am if I wasn't that trash, but it's like, I'll watch something and I'll look at it and I'll be like, nah, man, I know what I'm looking at. I know when I know when I'm giving shit. I know when this editing is designed just to make the scene longer. Also,
like, I've been learning a lot more about, like, storycraft lately, via making comics and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And also writing fan fiction. And, I've discovered that, like, plot is, like, I like writing plotty stuff, but I mostly convey plotty stuff through domestic fluff. And, like, there needs to be a balance stricken there between the domestic and the adventurous. And, like, the thing is, it's very, very easy to just give the audience what they want, and sometimes that's just the best course of action. Because it's easy to tell what the audience is going to want, even if the audience itself doesn't know what they want yet. It's so easy to figure out what people are going to geek out over.
See, here's the thing.
Just give them that.
Here's the thing. I actually believe that it's not that you don't give them what they want. It's that you give them something good. Because to me, it doesn't, because here's the thing about giving things, I forgot my dog was behind me and freaked out because there's a mirror in front of my computer for a second. Listen, I love Duchess so much, but her face looks like a Venetian mask from a straight point point of view. And she has literally been motionless for 3 hours. I forgot she was here.
Oh my god.
And I just saw her face literally rise over the corner. And I thought it was like an owl.
Oh my god.
Sorry, that derailed everything.
No, it was beautiful.
I just... Stop literally going up and down. I see what you're doing. I know that smile. She is smirking, you fucking bitch. I love this dog so much, and yet I know that deep down, she would not hesitate to kill me.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, fandom expectations and everything. So here's the thing. I often find that what people, because it's kind of like the whole thing of like what people want in fan fiction and shit, or what people talk about online, is not necessarily what would actually be good, or what would be a direction that would be fun for an audience to actually sit through. Like, it's the whole thing of the reason why people were writing Galra Keith fanfics for Voltron was not because people wanted to see Galra Keith in the show. It was because they were horny for cat boys and they didn't want to just say it. Like,
honestly, that's the reason why any, like, species swap fic stuff happens.
Literally, the whole thing, the reason why they were prevalent is that they got an excuse from the canon to just do cat boys. And trust me when I say, when given the opportunity to do cat boys, people will they will just make cat boys. Cat boys, it doesn't matter what your plans were, there is just a cat boy now.
I've seen, like, fics where Zim from Invader Zim purrs, even though, like, if anything, he's, like, a lizard bug thing.
Listen. Everyone is horny for cat boys. I cannot explain it.
This is true.
Listen, do you think She-Ra would have been as popular if Catra hadn't literally been pandering to the entire lesbian demographic?
I mean, probably not, no. Catra was kind of, like, one of the single most important characters in the entire fucking show, so...
Like, I mean, I'm not even talking about, like, Catra as a character, I'm literally talking about Catra being a cat girl.
I feel like that's important, though.
I mean, it is. It's vitally important, but not for the reason that you want it to be.
No, I understand. It is vitally important. Because that's just what we want.
Like, I hate and love that the internet collectively knows that we are horny about cat girls. Like,
cat people.
Like,
people.
Like, okay, I don't know, but here's the thing about it. If Voltron had, midway through the show, actually given us Catboy Keith, would any of the fandom be happy?
Depends on how they did it, but probably no.
No, they wouldn't, because, like, here's the thing. One, you're not supposed to call out a fetish. Like, that's just common decency.
I mean, yeah.
But two, like, nobody actually wanted that in canon, or nobody who was wanting it was someone who had, like, the media analysis skills over a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm sorry to derail this a little bit, but when you had said, no, we don't call that out, my brain immediately went to, like, the first Animaniacs episode, in one of the first lines in the Pinky and the Brain bit, was when Brain said, "Let's give the people what they want, Pinky," and then Pinky replied with, "Well, alright, Brain, but it'll have to be tasteful and in character," while he was taking off his robe.
I hate that because that is what we have wanted. That is what we have wanted. That is the only thing the fandom has cared about in terms of Pinky and the Brain coming back.
And then they didn't do anything else with that. But, like...
You know. Like, you know.
Like, we all know.
Like, it's like, listen, we know, but But also, hey.
I mean, it was framed as one of Pinky's, like, inane random side comments.
I mean,
like, that action, paired with that line.
listen.
You knew it was a nod to us.
Listen. That kind of comment is so obvious it's not even funny. Like, we know. They know.
We know.
We know. They know we know.
But the hilarious thing is, okay, so after, 20 years, and then, 20 years passed after that, and then, Brain is finally, after 22 years of careful planning, I am finally ready to enact my greatest scheme. And then Pinky was like, oh, that's great, Brain. I spent the last 22 years in intense psychotherapy where I realized that the only reason that we're together isn't because of our mutual desire to take over the world, but because you are physically and emotionally abusive to me. And then they just kind of glossed over that. I hate that is so funny to me, cause everyone has fought that for fucking ever, and it's like you're just gonna admit that, and you're not gonna even. Not even gonna do anything about it.
You're not even gonna do anything about it. I'm like,
the first step in fixing this is acknowledging that the problem exists.
But also,
you can take the next step after 22 more years of therapy.
But also, it's one of those things where it's like, at the same time, I wouldn't expect anything to have actually happened.
I mean, yeah.
It's like, I at this point, Pinky is in so deep.
He's in too deep at this point, honestly.
Pinky is like a man who lost too many rounds of cards at the Mafia card shark table. Okay, he's just here for life now.
He's ride or die.
He's ride or die, and I'm here for it.
So am I. It's fun.
I
think that Pinky's still I feel like they do still genuinely care about each other, or at least I hope they do in the reboot. I know they did in the original. I've only seen 1.5 episodes of the reboot thus far, but still, I hope that they maintain that core of, oh shit, I actually care about you, in that dynamic.
Pinky, are you caring who I am caring about? I think so, Brain, but that would require me to care. Damn it, Pinky is such an asshole.
You know what I hope happens? I hope fucking Snowball comes back. Because whenever Snowball shows up, shit gets real.
I'm just glad that everyone has actually laughed at the new Animaniacs, which was something I was so afraid about.
Oh, the new Animaniacs are phenomenal.
I'm just I was genuinely afraid it wouldn't be funny. And that's my biggest fear when there's anything getting a reboot. It's if I heard they were going to make a reboot of What's Up, Doc, I would be like, no. Nah, man.
You don't mess with that one.
You don't mess with this. You can't make...
It's already perfect. What else are you going to do with it?
You've seen Hollywood. They are sick. They're demented. They'll reboot anything.
The Animaniacs who actually acknowledges that?
A
lot? They acknowledge it within the context of, this is an illness within Hollywood. And then they're like, yes, we know we're sellouts. It's cool because we know it.
Which, that's one of those meta jokes that, I'm kind of... I don't really like meta jokes where, you're just basically acknowledging that you're a part of the problem while doing the thing. Or acknowledging there is a problem while being a part of the problem. It's just ew. Kind kind of would prefer you just not be part of the problem, but, you know, I guess that would be hard for you. Hollywood.
Because then you wouldn't. Because then the Animaniacs wouldn't exist.
We still have reruns.
But I'm actually really enjoying the contemporary humor that they put into it, like with the political satire and stuff thus far.
Also, I heard Brain finally got to swore, which, good for him.
There has been clips circulating on the internet where he does get to swear. A lot. There's that whole, clip from, I think it was the Nostalgia Critic, where the voice actors came in and just fucking cussed each other out.
I mean, that's from years ago. But, like, I heard he actually got to cuss on the new Animaniacs.
Oh, man.
Like, the Nostalgia Critic thing, like, that's very old. That's very old.
Oldie but a goodie.
Oldie but a goodie. Oh, shut it, bitch. Yes, okay. I hate to say this, but, Mooney, you've been a great guest. I've loved having
being here.
I've loved having you on. I've loved, imprisoning you in a bathroom.
I have actually since relocated to my bedroom because Mom opened the bedroom and told me I was being too loud. And then I needed to relocate. And she pointed towards my bedroom, and I couldn't quite hear her because I was busy listening to you. But, like, Fiona's, I mean, my kiddo's dead asleep. So, like, I don't know.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
But it's been great having you, and I've loved having you on our cast. It's been fun. Hopefully, we can get the gang that was originally meant for this together sometime. For,
Yes.
the OG cryptids.
The OG cryptids.
And we can all chat and everything. But it is sadly past midnight on my end, which means the stream is over. I know.
Darn, it's 1 a.m.
I know. Sleep is for the weak. But yeah, we're done. I have to banish you to the void now. Loved having you.
Loved being here.
And you see my social media. You'll see when for the what
you've been doodling.
You'll see what I've been doodling. So for anyone for the singular person who came, or two people who came tonight, you can find Looney Mooney's stuff over on her Looney Mooney Studio on Tumblr. She also has an Instagram under the same handle. Apparently she never uses it.
Handle. Instagram is Maeve Moonstone. I never use it.
The marketing professors, the how to market yourself professors are crying in their sleep, and you know it.
I know, yeah.
So anyway,
this is why I only ever use Tumblr.
So anyway, with that in mind, I'm going to now push you off into a box and off a cliff. I do it with love. I do it with care. And I'll see you around. And everyone, I'll see you next Friday for our next Cryp Kids. Who will be our guest? Who knows? We have no idea what we're doing. We are disaster.
All disasters gremlins.
And, yeah, good night. Whee!
Good night, everybody.